I want to offer my respect to my god brother, friends, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Bhakti Rakshira Deva Goswami Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj, and plenty of other great souls who have come through New York giving their grace in the way of Krishna Harikatha. And there's a long list. It will take me a real long time if I wanted to try to think of each of everyone, and then I would probably forget a few, and that may make somebody upset. So I would just simply say to all great souls who have come through this way. Once Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj told me that Srila Prabhupada, he constructed a royal road of the Bhakti path from Vrindavan to the whole world, going through New York. And nowadays many people try to go on this royal road without having necessarily the qualification of being able to give neither that or anything in full congruence with what Prabhupada came to give. But they take the same road anyway, and some other, they even confuse the souls who are curious about the real message which Bhaktivedanta Swami brought to us, and they have to learn how to discriminate. From that point of view, I want to earnestly request you to read the Bhagavad Gita as it is. If you want to make up your mind about anything particular in the regards. And after you read this, then you still should read on the Krishna book, which is Prabhupada's first-hand personal delivery of Krishna Bhakti with all the connection of the divine Leela of the Lord. Then, of course, there's a few other must-read, like Sri Ishupanishad, which you could put even before the Bhagavad Gita, because it's really a great introduction to the Bhagavad Gita. And of course, then there's a host of other books, and I just don't want to go on reciting here titles of books, but it's a whole scientific approach to understand what the Vedas are all about and what we should take out. Now I wanted to speak to you about this family concept. You see, there is the family of father and mother, and that's very wonderful. We are so grateful to our parents. Without them, we would not be here. So we have to always share that concern with our family and children, because if the children do not respect their parents, then they have not much of a future either. But here goes, there's more than that family. I will mention a few more. Then when you take initiation in a spiritual tradition, you also become a member of that family. It means you actually becoming a brother, you become you have sisters, you also have uncles, you have granduncles, grandfather. It's a huge family. It's actually much bigger than the father and mother family, even though that may also be a huge family. And when you extend this concept and understand the spiritual family, the spiritual family is expanding through mantra, whereas the personal family is spreading through semen, where the soul journeys to the womb of the mother and impregnates her egg, so a new living being can take up a material body. But in the question of the transaction of the mantra is coming from the divine world, and it is delivered through those who are faithful to the essence or the original powerhouse. Anybody wants to give something disconnected from the powerhouse, he becomes powerless. So it's very important that we have this family, which should really be a strong inner commitment. Then there's a third family, which is the family of all those who belong to my faith. Because besides my guru, there may be many other people belonging to the same faith. And if I do not appreciate them appropriately, then my own vision on that family is also very limited, very narrow-minded. And that takes us to the fourth level of family, that we are supposed to understand when anybody worships the Lord of my heart, even though he does it in a different tradition, in a different language, but he is focused upon the seed-giving father and the seed-receiving mother. You see, these are the two. Krishna says, I am the seed-giving father. And Prakriti, the material nature, Mother Earth, she's the seed-receiving mother. So as soon as there's a mother, there must be a father. And where is a mother, there's lots of children. So all those who accept father and mother, the divine seed-giving and seed-receiving divine energy representative, he is a devotee or she is a devotee, and she also belongs to my family. Now you may further extend that by saying, okay, but what about those who don't believe in the seed-giving father and the seed-receiving mother? What about them? Well, they just may be a little blind about the reality of their coming into existence, but they are still conceived by the seed-giving father in the womb of the seed-receiving mother, and thus they are my brothers and sisters, regardless whether they understand it or not, regardless whether they can appreciate their connection to the divine family. In other words, this is the way you can understand the concept of that we are all one family, regardless where you stand, regardless what you understand, regardless who you pray to, regardless what language you use, and regardless who your prophet is. But you have to understand we are one family. And now we have to straighten out and figure out, what does it mean? How do you behave in relationship to your family 1, family 2, family 3, family 4, family 5. How do you relate to all the different peoples on the different levels of family? And that is called adhikar. That understanding that you have understood what is the appropriate way of dealing. And I can tell you, those who say, my Lord will save you, and if you don't accept him, only hell is waiting for you. Well, that's not a very broad-minded approach. Then you cannot really consider that there's much realization of divine love in such a person if he wants to send the greater part of the world to hell just because they are not following his concept of family. Because family is family. Forget about it. There is nobody. And in family there has to be forgiving. If there's no forgiving, then it's no family to begin with. If we expect, I will only accept as my family all those who are perfect. Well, thanks a lot. Now I have no more family members, and I'm also not a family member as well. So the whole concept without forgiving, it simply doesn't work. It is a sham. Therefore, my dear spiritual master Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami has really given us the unity and the concept. What means parents in action? It means that you have to give that paternal trust and love which our original Father has given to us. If he gave you free will, if he gave you trust, then you have to grant this trust and free will also to your children, also to your brothers, also to your sisters, also to everyone. As soon as you want to restrict another one in these important aspects, which I just explained, you are violating the very basic rule of family. And therefore it's so important. What does it mean, family? We are taking our connection with our parents by karma. But we are taking our connection to our spiritual family by choice. I mean, yes, you may be born in a certain family of a certain religion. Doesn't mean you're going to stick around there. You may change it. You may accept another spiritual guidance or whatever. So that is free will. So the most important thing in the world of faith is free will. It's the support to free will. And because of that, you can find or you can rejoice your own individual dignity within that freedom. And you cannot deny it to somebody else, because then you also actually would declare that you don't deserve it yourself. Now, we may make the wrong choices. It's obvious that we living beings are very weak and sometimes quite foolish, and we do make the wrong choices. But there's an inner voice which tells us when our choice is wrong. And then there is the move which comes towards correcting your wrong choices and taking the right choices. So there's a very incredible spiritual original drive in every soul. And we can also call it the original law, the original constitutional principle of consciousness, awareness, of growing through this world, for coming to understand why is there such a duality in this world, which is always challenging us to tolerate and to overcome the urges which are dragging us away from our own spiritual ideals. Hey, what's going on there? Why are we so often tested? Why there's an attempt by the illusory energy to drag us into the deepest dungeon of material illusion? And the answer for that is that there is such a great and wonderful love, and that only when your choice is this love, you will get this. So you cannot get the highest love unless you choose it. And therefore you have the possibility of not choosing it. Otherwise you would not be a loving unit of the Lord's great generosity. You would be just some kind of a robot who is just functioning according to obligation. And it's not the case. So we have this freedom, so we can choose the right thing, and then our struggle is dignified. It's dignified. I mean, let's tell you something. A child or a woman or anybody is vulnerable. As soon as you fall asleep in front of somebody, you're 100% vulnerable, and we all fall asleep all the time. So it's not something which is rare. So if a person is falling asleep, you can touch the person indecent, you can kill the person, you can do so many things to a sleeping person. So we are dependent to the divine grace, and we are in the realm of taking responsibility for the love and trust given to us. Still, it's true that some people killed others while they were asleep. Still, it is true that people have raped or misused others while they were asleep or like that. So the degrading element is definitely there. But you're not obliged to degrade yourself. On the contrary, it's just one example. I could give you thousands of examples. It's just one which is so much connected with our daily affair. of falling asleep, becoming 100% vulnerable. So in this way, the Lord has created a world where love and trust is really the need of the day. So those who under your care, they must be able to trust in you, and you must be able to trust in them. It's a two-side traffic, the love and trust. They have to trust you, and you have to be trustworthy. You have to trust them, and they have to be trustworthy. And if there's some scarcity or some deficiency in that trustworthiness of anyone, it's going to be a painful experience, a painful awakening. And then you may also decide, like, I love my parents so much, especially my mother. She was the incredible, sweet lady of giving herself to her children. I can only go and say wonderful things about her. Nevertheless, I had to leave her to find my way. I couldn't get the way I needed from her because she didn't have that. I didn't understand spiritual love, universal love, the real family. I didn't get it from her. On the contrary, I got it from Srila Prabhupada, and then I took it to her because I loved her, of course. I'm very much indebted to her. So I took this love, which I've got from Srila Prabhupada, to my mother. And in the same way, we are supposed to take the love which we have received to everybody who we can encounter, who is in some deficiency, in some need of this divine love. We are really happy to be able to do such a thing. We are really fortunate to be part of this transaction. And it's a very simple transaction. It means you share your faith. Now, how do you do that? Well, by speaking about it, by singing about it, by dancing about it, by giving out prasadam or food which has been offered to the Lord with love. By any of this type of activities, faith transaction can be contagiously distributed. Especially recommended, very good prasadam. That's very convincing. Because if somebody comes in the first Hare Krishna movie, which was made, there was the speaker said, and philosophically differences can easily be overcome with some sweet ball and some tamarind juice. And you saw all the big smiling faces of everybody. So it's true, when we are eating prasad, who can deny the grace of good food? Who's making the fruits? Who's making the flowers? Who's making all these great things? This is the divine maintainer. You see, even though we are so proudish in this material world, it's actually totally silly, totally foolish, because we do not get even one apple or one carrot without divine grace. They are not manufactured in any human-made factory. They are not under the control of anybody. They're just produced by water and soil. They make food, and with the seed, don't forget, Krishna says, I am the seed-giving Father. So seed, soil, and water, and here's your carrot. Now, who are you going to give your honor and your obeisances and your submission to? Well, to the Creator, who has made this family possible. He's the one and all, and He again wants to share everything with His divine female energy, which has so many forms, so many wonderful manifestations. So therefore we are intrigued. In our spiritual process, we are very intrigued. Where is the female influence? Where's the male influence? What is the divine? And in the very end, we may understand that divine male and divine female is also one. It's all in the Lord's divine heart's faculty. He has it all in Him. And therefore He's father, mother, He's brother, teacher, guru. He's all for us. So, but for the sake of His divine pleasure, He expands in the Divine Mother, the Shakti, and the Divine Father, the Purusha. And them together, well, that's the story we are talking about. the big family. And if we want to appreciate this properly, this nice family conception, then we will immediately say, yes, let me become an instrument of his love. That is dharma, this is duty. It's not luxury, it's not really choice. Of course you have the choice, but to my point of view, it's not much of a choice. It's an obligation. You just can't eat, sleep, drink, do everything, and then in the end of the day you say, I did it myself. It's on my own strengths. That is not true. We are just maintained. We are not maintaining anybody. We have nothing to maintain somebody else. But we are being maintained. So that's what we want to define. Who is maintaining us? Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchit Ananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. That's what the Vedas say. They say he's the Supreme Lord, he's the controller, the Ishvara. He is known as Krishna. He's the Supreme Parama Krishna. And who is he? He is Satchit Ananda Vigraha. That means you are Sat, you are Chit, and you are Ananda. But you are not the Satchit Ananda Vigraha. Means you are eternal, you have a cognitive capacity, Chit, you have a pleasure-feeling capacity and a pleasure-giving capacity. It's called Ananda. But you're not the personification of it, Vigraha. That is Krishna again, Satchit Ananda. But because he's so kind, he gives us a bit of Satchit Ananda to each and every one of us. Now here comes Lord Gopal. Now look at this. What can we say? Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchit Ananda Vigraha is arriving here. Can you please put him here on top of the speaker? This is a nice place.
Krishna's mother, who's 94, is coming with
okay. Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. So this is what makes the whole thing. Now we are so lucky. Lord Gopal has come to join us in this function. Oh, Grandma.
She's 94 and still has a great memory.
Yes. And she walks without a stick. Huh? So this is what I wanted to conclude here, that he is maintaining us and we should give our gratefulness to him through any way. Anadir Adir Govinda. He is the pleasure giving. He's giving us the senses. He gives us the Brahminical culture. He gives the cows. He gives everything. He is the one who gives sense, meaning to our life. So if you consider all that, that is Anadir Adir Govinda. He's the cause of all causes of happiness. He's the cause of all truths. He's the cause of all causes of the divine meaning of life. Sarva Karana Karanam. That means the end of the shloka says that he's the cause of all causes. There's no cause beyond him. So we have to give our honor to the cause of all causes. We don't have to give our honor to somebody in between, even though we can also do so, but not give the one in between the honor of the cause of all causes if he is not the cause of all causes. Like I'm speaking beautiful words to you tonight, but not because of me. They are simply copied by my gurus. They have spoken these. I was lucky to pick them up, and now I'm just a repeating station. So all the honor goes to them. And therefore, we are in a great dire need to give their grace to others, to give that spiritual family consciousness and pleasure shelter to all the others who have come to us, who have come to meet with us in our life. Now, before I end this exposition. I want to invite you, you know, this is the 4th of July, so people think it's an important day, and they're shooting a lot of rockets in the sky, and they're forgetting about Krishna once again. So we will be on Times Square tonight, and reminding them of the Krishna's importance by chanting the holy names with those who have time to accompany us, especially our wonderful musicians from the heart of the Ecuador, the heart of the planet. So, Krishna Das Prabhu, what is life without you? We were dwindling here. But anyhow, so wrapping it up for tonight, this family affair is not a short-lived thing. It's a family affair of all those who want to know who is maintaining me and how I can relate to him and her and them in the appropriate way, as well as to all my brothers and sisters and animal brothers as well. And this is being answered by Bhaktivedanta Swami in his Varn Ashram teaching of the responsibility, which you should all try to check out and do something about it. It's not a luxury, it's a true necessity of the soul. If we are not embracing this sharing, it means we are not very deep in the caring. And if you don't care for others, it just doesn't look too good for you. And it's just going to be a hard struggle to understand that your happiness should be in the happiness of all. That is something which the Lord is teaching us by his own example, by trying to make everyone happy. And how does he do that? Well, by providing Shraddha, by providing food, by providing sunlight, by providing everything we need. Not leaving out one single item we need to live, to survive, to grow, to take up responsibility. And I could just keep talking about it, that we call that in Spanish, trillar. I could just keep and hammer it into you again and again, but it's a one single truth. We are all one family, and we are supposed to live that family consciousness. So therefore, I will stop my talk here so that we can proceed with the other pleasant things and what is coming tonight, like some Prasadam, Radhika and Govardhan and others have prepared with great love, as they always do, because they learned this from Srila Bhakti Bimala Harijan Maharaj, that you give love through food. And if you have any questions, ask them please now.
Maharaj, you said we should think of the family, but then in the beginning you said we should read Bhagavad Gita. And in Bhagavad Gita says, one-pointed devotion. Focus on one point. And also in Mahabharata, Arjuna was tested by Drona. Do you see the eye? Do you see the bird, etc.? So how do you blend the focus required for spiritual life, Krishna consciousness, the one-pointed, like aiming at a target in the middle, at the same time benefiting others, laterally?
Thank you so much for your delightful question. One-pointed devotion, as propagated and specially well explained by Srila Bhakti Ballabh Tirtha Maharaj, does not mean that we are focused in only one type of activity, because there's the one-pointed devotion in Mangal Artik, there's the one-pointed devotion in chanting japa, there's the one-pointed devotion in listening to lectures, there's a one-pointed devotion in all the daily activities which we have to do, which are mukhya vritti and gauna vritti divided. One-pointed devotion is there at the time of eating, supposed to be. One-pointed devotion is there even at the point of sex life, to take it to the maximum extreme to the other side. So if there's one-pointed devotion possible in all those areas, why should there not be one-pointed devotion in caring for your brothers and sisters and for your Mother Earth, which are also part of your seed and food providing divine agency? Like, for example, you may find that we talk out about permaculture. We are talking about the necessity not offering to Krishna food which has been contaminated by chemicals and things like that. Yes, it's not always easy to find the answer for one or two or three different kind of confusing considerations, but in the end of the day, it's reality. And we are real people, and we are living in a reality. And in that reality, we follow nectar of devotion. And if you read nectar of devotion, you will read there, you cannot offer Krishna anything which is being contaminated anyway. So, but now you figure out that. How to get your one-pointed devotion into the sabji, which you're going to use for making the offering, and then there you go. Off you go. Now you have to offer and start thinking how to get some land, how to grow your own food, how to make sure it's really pure, how to do, and it just goes on and on and on and on. So Guru Dev, he gives us the conclusion. He says, time, place, and circumstance, you act in this circumstance like this. And he has a right and a need to do that. And the disciples, they follow what he says. Because if they don't follow, then it's like sitting in a car and not letting the driver drive, and you like mix your hand into the steering wheel and ripping down here and there. It's not going to work. Somebody got to drive that vehicle, and that is the way life goes. So this is my answer to your question. Don't worry about it. It will all manifest if sincerity is your guide. And if sincerity is not your guide, the intellectual understanding will not help either. Yes?
Yes, Prabhu. Any suggestions based on the Vedas about how to, it's particularly for young people, that way children will be better off, in the sense that a lot of people, we give classes here and they don't talk about my husband or my wife anymore. They say my baby dads, and my baby moms. So marriage is out of the equation now. And a lot of the children are born when the parents were on drugs or alcohol or one-night stands. And maybe there's a way to improve society by having better relationships so the children are better too. What does the Veda says about that?
Thank you very much. The Gurukul system is a very, very wonderful system which was given to us by Lord Krishna himself, because he went to study with Sandipani Muni and he studied all the arts which are necessary for conducting society in an appropriate way. And of course, family, Varnashram Dharma, that's part of that teaching. And therefore, your concern is a very important concern, and the way we can approach it is by bringing the different people on the different levels to come together and to hear about Gurukul topics. Means Gurukul is the school of the spiritual master. That means he's giving us Guru. Gu is darkness and Ru is take you out of darkness. So we got to apply the guru principle to the young people, to the married people, to the girls, to the boys, to those who are in the mood of suicide, those who are in the mood of aborting a child and all that, things like that. We have to bring the guru principle off into the education and into the family and into our own life. And that's why our teachers have said, actually, each and every devotee has to be a Shiksha Guru in his own behavior, in his own instructions he giving. So the Guru is not somebody who's like, ooh, he's almost in the clouds, you know, and we can hardly see him. No, you have to become a Guru, a Shiksha Guru, by connecting to your divine teachings, origin, and in this way grow further and further. Yes.
Yeah. About the one-pointed devotion, I heard actually Bhakti Balabatirtha has one paragraph. He says, the same way that we know our sadhya, sadhana, and sadhya is the goal, right? So we have a certain goal. We want to go have one-pointed devotion to Radha Krishna. Okay. We want to have one-pointed devotion to Radha and Krishna. And then he says, in the same way that the businessman, he might be driving a car, therefore his senses are, attentive to the road and conditions, but his mind is already in his office and he has to make so many calls, and he's, in one sense, his attention is on his task at hand, but his mind, his devotion is already where his workplace is. So in the same way, we can actually do everything that we need to do to not only keep body and soul together, but plan wonderful farms, organic farming, whatever is necessary to improve society, improve what Rolando was saying, if we improve sex life, so that we beget very good children, then we are also doing seva. So, but our mind is one-pointed in the goal. Is that like a good allegory?
Yes, I think so.
Thank you. So I think we can start the prasad distribution. It's already 8:10, and so wonderful that all of you came here together tonight. And we see you again soon, by Krishna's grace. And if you want to come out for singing, we go there after the prasad.
Paramadvaiti Maharaj ki Jai!